Ringer. Gonna take it, give it off. That's a three-point look, and the three-pointer does not fall for Mesher. And it's the Clash on the rebound. Helms. Up ahead. Bounce pass. That's up. That's no good for Morris Montgomery. All-Stars back on offense. It's 1-on-2 right now. Taking the ball to the other end. That's Gable. She puts it up. That's no good, and that's rebounded by Powers. Clash back on offense now. Morris Montgomery up ahead with it. She bounce passes it over to Helms, and Helms loses it out of bounds, but they're going to say that went off of the All-Stars as Bixler as well as Brandywine will check back into the ball game. Meanwhile, Gable and Dieringer will sit. Roseberry to inbound, and she does to Powers. Out to Helms. Helms over to Mullins. Mullins is going to bounce pass it and have it taken away. Taken away by Ruan. Ruan pushed the ball down to the other end of the floor. She finds Bixler underneath the hoop. She puts it up and in there. Hope Bixler now with 4 points. It's 21-4. The All-Stars lead the Clash. That's Roseberry. She gives it off to Helms. Helms trying to cross-court pass there, and that's still a loose ball. That ball is still very much alive, and Ruan ends up with it for the All-Stars. Ruan gives it off to Bixler, and she has it knocked out of her hands, and it's chased down by Barga, who gives it off to Mesher, and we're under a minute to play. Underneath the hoop, that is Bixler, who gets fouled on her way up, and that is a foul on 15 Helms. And so Bixler will step up to the free throw line to see what she can do with these foul shots. Bixler, first shot, no good. Kaylee Braun checks in. She's number 22. She'll check in for Ella Mesher. And Gable will check in for Ruan. Bixler back at the foul line. Attempts the shot and makes the shot, so Bixler now with 5. It's 22-4. That's Roseberry. She gives it off. There's a shot that's up, and that's no good for Courier. With 35 seconds left, that ball's going to go off of the All-Stars. That went off the foot of Braun. And so down 18, the Clash get it back here with a little over 30 seconds to go in the first half. Roseberry. Over comes to Scherer. Scherer will drive, put it up, miss the shot, and that's Brandywine there who gathers it. And Gable will give it off now to Bixler. Underneath the hoop, putting it up, and not able to connect is Braun. Braun on the second shot opportunity. That's up. That's not good, but then Brandywine does put it up and in for 2, and now it's a 20-point ball game with 3 seconds to go. 2-1, and that will do it for the first half of play. And so it'll be a running clock to start the second half with the score. The Twin Lakes All-Stars 24, the Central Ohio Clash 4. We'll be back with the aforementioned second half right here on GBA TV. A running clock here to start the second half. It is the Twin Lakes All-Stars 24, the Central Ohio Clash 4. And the putback opportunity is up, and that is good for Brandywine, and so Twin Lakes adds to its lead to begin this second half. It's 26-4. Mullins. Bounce pass over to Roseberry. Roseberry back to Mullins. Mullins in the corner back to Helms. I'm kind of obscured here by the referee. That is to Roseberry. Roseberry back to Helms. Helms puts it up, and Helms no good. And that's rebounded by Ruan. Noel Ruan on the rebound. Up ahead to Gable. Gable to Brandywine. Back to Ruan. Back to Braun. Underneath the hoop. Brandywine had a wide open look at it and just wasn't able to put the ball in the hole. And it's going to come back to the Central Ohio Clash. By the way, if you're wondering, the Clash points have come from Rogers and Mullins. And there's a ball that's stolen away. That's stolen away by Deringer. Up ahead, that's to Ruan. Ruan gives it off. And not able to control it is Braun. Braun not able to control the pass, and so it goes out of bounds and back to the Clash. That's Roseberry. Emma Roseberry playing the point. She's guarded by Brandywine. Over to Rogers. Rogers guarded by Ruan. Rogers with a bounce pass over to Mullins. Mullins puts it up. That's no good, and that's taken by Ruan. So it remains a 22-point lead for Twin Lakes, and up ahead. That is up, and now it is larger than that. It will be a 24-point lead, 28-4, because of that bucket by Braun. That's a shot that's up. That's no good. And that's taken out by Scherer. Scherer over to Mullins. Mullins to Roseberry. It's Helms. Back to Roseberry. Roseberry's going to drive it, kick it out. That'll be a pump fake by Mullins. She'll take it into the paint, put it up, and put it in there for two herself. So Mullins connects to make it 28-6. Up ahead, that's Brandywine. Brandywine on that end. She is going to get fouled on her way up, so Colleen Brandywine will go to the free throw line, and she will shoot a pair because of that foul on the Clash. First team foul for the Clash this half. So Colleen Brandywine goes to the foul line. Connects on her first shot. Hope Bixler checks back in for the All-Stars, and Noel Ruan will sit. And Ella Mesher about to check back in as well. Second shot for Brandywine, no good. Knocked out of bounds by the Clash, so it'll remain on that end as the clock will continue to run. With the All-Stars up by 23. Checking out Brandywine, checking in Mesher. Bounce pass to the low post. That's up. That's no good for Braun. Braun with a putback opportunity. No good. Braun gets it back. She's tied up. And it will favor the Clash with that possession arrow. As Roseberry pushes it down. Roseberry over to Helms. Back to Mullins. Mullins over to Rogers. She'll attempt a three-pointer and will miss that three-pointer. And it goes out of bounds, and that's going to go off the Clash as Barga will check back into the ball game here for the All-Stars, and checking out will be Braun. Bixler is going to have her pocket picked there, and it's taken by Helms. Helms pushing the ball to the other end. She'll try to lay it up and will miss the shot. And it'll be tracked down by Powers. So another opportunity here for the Clash. And that is up, and that's no good for Mullins from three-point land. Pushing the ball up the floor now. That is Gable who will pull it back out. And that's over to Bixler. Back over to Mesher. Into the paint that goes. And that's over to Derringer. Derringer outside. That's to Mesher. Mesher for three. She knocks it down. Mesher with her first points of the ball game. Makes it 32-6, 26-point lead here with the clock continuing to run. We're under 9 minutes now. So we're over 5 minutes gone by as the ball goes out of bounds, and it will remain Clash ball. As numbers 40 and 15, Brandywine and Rouan respectively will check back into the ball game for Twin Lakes as 32 Gable and 2 Derringer will sit. That's stolen away by Mesher. Mesher's going to push the ball to the other end and lay it up and in there. So Mesher all of a sudden with 5 quick points gives the All-Stars a 28-point advantage. It's 34-6. Timeout called by the Clash. 8:13 to play here in this second half. It's 34-6. The All-Stars with the big lead over the Clash. (34-6) the score coming out of the timeout that was called by the Clash. That'll be Roseberry to inbound. And it'll be Mullins to play the point. 24-point lead here, or 28-point lead, excuse me. On the other end, there's a shot that's up. That's no good. The Clash get it back. Up ahead. That's a shot that's up, and that is good. And that is Mullins for 2 more. Make the score 34-8. Up ahead, nobody ahead of Brandywine. Brandywine, easy path for the bucket. She lays it up and puts it in there. So it's back up to a 28-point advantage. The All-Stars 36, the Clash 8. 7.5 to go here in this second half. Roseberry. The pass inside, it bounces outside, and that's to Courier. Courier to Mullins. And that's stolen away by Brandywine. Brandywine with another easy path to the bucket. She will lay it up, and she will lay it in there. And Colleen Brandywine with 2 more gives the All-Stars a 30-point advantage. It is 38-8. Driving the ball into the paint and getting fouled on her way up. That is Roseberry. As Braun will check back in, as will Derringer. First shot banks in there for Roseberry, who gets her first point of the ball game via that shot to make it 38-9 as Bixler and Brandywine check out. Second shot for Roseberry. Rims out, no good. Rebounded by Rouan. Over it comes to Mesher. To Braun. Up top to Barga. And that's a pass inside. Nice looking cut there by Mesher. She just wasn't able to make the basket. And the Clash gets it back on offense. Pushing the ball down, putting it up, and making the bank shot. On the runner is Helms to make it 38-11. Bounce pass. In the lane, And getting fouled on her way up is Braun. And so Braun, fouled on the shot, will step up to the free throw line. And she will attempt a pair. Clock stops at 6:01 here in the second half. First shot for Braun. No good. Roseberry checks out for the Clash as Scherer checks in. Second shot for Braun, rims away, and Braun chases down the rebound. And it's knocked out of bounds. It'll remain on this end. Clock continues to run. Twin Lakes All-Stars with the lead and the ball, 27-point lead with under 6 minutes to go. Inbounds it comes to Gable. Gable underneath to Braun. Braun, turnaround shot. It is up and good. 40-11. On the other end. That's a blocked shot. And the ball is kept alive by the Clash. And that's up and good for Mullins. 40-13 the score. On the other end, that is Dieringer who lays it up and good for two. 42-13. A lot of buckets being scored here all of a sudden. Helms being guarded by Dieringer. As Bixler gets ready to check back in. That is Morris Montgomery. She's guarded by Kaylee Braun. To Scherer. On the run, is fouled. Clock stops at 4:35, and Scherer will step up to the free throw line to attempt a pair. Her shot is up and no good for Scherer. As Bixler checks back in for the All-Stars, and Braun will sit out. Meanwhile, Rogers checks back into the game for the Clash, and that'll be Morris Montgomery who will sit. And that shot falls for Scherer. That's her first bucket of the ball game, and first point of the ball game at least. 42-14. And there's a block. Nice little block there. Nice little defensive play by Helms to swat that ball away from Mesher. And a timeout is called on the floor with 4:24 to play in the second half of this 9th grade game here at the Northern Shootout. 4:24 to play. We'll be back. So a 28-point lead here for the Twin Lakes All-Stars. They lead the Central Ohio Clash 42-14. Clash on offense. That's Mullins. Mullins who passes it, and it's intercepted by Bixler. Bixler pushing the ball down the floor. Bixler with a bounce pass to Dieringer. Dieringer gets fouled pretty hard on her way up, and so Dieringer will step up to the free throw line, and she will attempt to pair it here. On her first free throw attempt, she puts it in. As Powers checks back in for the Clash, and Rogers sits. Second shot here is no good. Dieringer 1 for 2 from the line. 43-14 the score. On the other end, that's Mullins. Mullins kicking it outside to Courier. Courier over to Helms. Helms for three. That's a good three-point shot there for Helms to make it 43-17. Bixler on the outside. She is guarded by Powers. In the paint, back outside to Bixler. She'll attempt a three and be a little bit too strong on that three-point attempt. Offensive rebound as the All-Stars have it rejected. What a block there by Mullins. And it's going to go out of bounds off of the All-Stars, and it will come back to the Clash. Helms on the drive, Helms on the pass, and they are going to say she stepped out of bounds. And there's the pick and roll, and that works for them, and that's up and good for two. Ruan puts two more on the board. It's 45-17. Into the corner. That's Courier. Courier on the baseline. Courier has it stolen away from her by Bixler. Bixler has it now. Bixler is going to pull up with it. No need to rush things here if you're the All-Stars. You have a 28-point lead as Ruan in the high post. Bounce pass into low post. That's up. That's no good. Put back attempt is good. Count the bucket and the foul. That's up and good for Brandywine. She makes it a 30-point game once again for the All-Stars, 47-17. As Roseberry checks back in for Central Ohio, and Scherer sits. Brandywine not able to connect on the and one. As the Clash have it with under 2 minutes to play. Outside, long three-point attempt. That's up, that's no good for Helms. And it's rebounded by Mesher. Mesher up ahead to Ruan. Ruan underneath the hoop, nobody there except her, and she puts it up and in for two. She's got 7 on the afternoon. And it's All-Stars 49, Clash 17. And that's out of bounds. And that'll be off of the All-Stars. Under a minute to play. We are under a minute to play here in this one. 49-17. Ninth grade game. It'll be the All-Stars who will take this one as Helms misses on the running hook shot there. And the All-Stars push it up ahead. That's Bixler who's got it now. Bixler is going to pull up with it. And Ella Mesher has it now, and underneath the hoop, that is up, and that is good there for Kaylee Braun. And Braun makes it a 51-17 ball game. Clash now into the lane. Roseberry will take a short corner shot. That's up, that's no good. Taken by Ruan. Ruan will push it up ahead. That's to Bixler. Bixler will pull out with it. Bixler just got the call from the sideline, no shot. She gives it to Ruan. And they're just going to pass this one out as with 4 seconds left, the Twin Lakes All-Stars will beat the Central Ohio Clash in ninth grade action with the final of 51-17. Stay tuned for more GBA basketball action from the Northern Shootout here from Ohio Northern University. This will be my last game for today, as well as Kayla Cazel's last game, so we appreciate you tuning in. Stick around for Tom Strasser. He will have more calls from Ohio Northern University right here on GBA TV. Goodbye, everybody.